Meeting to order. This will be the Monday, August 3rd meeting of the Mayor and Council of City of Roswell. We'd like to invite one of our old-time fellas who comes here every night, and I apologize, I've forgotten your name. Come forward and give us your name first because I have forgotten, and I apologize. But you're here. He comes to more meetings than I do. If you'll introduce yourselves, and I apologize.
I'm Robert Hart, 205 Pudding Green Lane.
Robert, you don't need to give your address. You're not speaking tonight. But if we'd all stand and face the flag, Robert will lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Robert. Well done. Councilman Eigelhart is absent tonight with an excuse. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman DiPolito for approval. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Orleans. Councilmember Tollison, is he coming tonight? Oh, that's right. Councilmember Tollison is. We'll miss Councilmember Tollison. I had forgotten he has resigned, and I can't remember why. And with that, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the anybody in the audience have any questions regarding the consent agenda? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. I'd like to recognize Jim Pollock. I should have asked him to lead us in the pledge. And I recognize everyone who is running for office, whatever that may be, and I know he's running for office. So, Mr. Pollock, if you'll come up and introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jim Pollock. I live in Westbrook over in near Crabapple and Crossville. I plan to run for council come November 3rd. And for what seat, what post yet, I haven't decided, as most of the media is saying. But I appreciate you recognizing me. Thank you very much, and look forward to the next couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. You will enjoy the next 3 months. It's exciting. You'll get to know Roswell like you've never known it before, and I do appreciate everyone running, even those folks who are running against me, for volunteering to serve in the community. It makes Roswell a better place to have good citizens to run, and I thank you. At this time, we have an appointment to the Cultural Arts Board. Dustin Dowdy. Is Dustin Dowdy here tonight? We didn't ask him to come, but I wanted to recognize him if he was here. Dustin Dowdy's, I am posing his name to the council for nomination. Do we have any questions regarding Mr. Dowdy? Do we have a motion? Motion to approve the nomination of Dustin Dowdy by Councilmember Becky Wynn. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Orleans. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time I'll call upon Councilmember Becky Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item on the transportation agenda is approval to revise the traffic calming policy. Mr. Asenbrack, good evening.
Good evening, Council Member Wynn, Mr. Mayor, and members of the Council. We are requesting that the City Council approve changes to our current traffic calming policy. Basically two parts here. One is the approval to add elevated crosswalks per the master plan that Community Development did for the historic district, specifically bracketing Canton Street on each side. And we also would like to remove the term cut-through from our lexicon. Those two minor administrative changes that we had in committee.
Does the council have any questions? Do we have a Councilman Orleans?
Steve.
Yes, sir.
Question. The change is, specifically identifying one situation. And that's all you're intending to do? Because I guess I originally thought you were trying to get the ordinance set up so that this could be used in individual situations. But the way I'm reading it is a specific thing on Canton Street, north of Magnolia Street. And that's it?
That's correct. We did make a provision on item 7 that allows for exceptions to the policy later on. But specifically, we wanted to say that the traffic calming policies for these elevated crosswalks, we formally previously did not recognize that type of a traffic calming measure on a collector road. And Canton Street is a collector road. And so we want to specifically identify that as being acceptable in the traffic calming policy, and we also leave the door open for others, given specific parameters and specific situations. We may want to consider that in other circumstances.
So you're going to identify every one that we ever do?
I would like to bring those individually into you and talk about the circumstances of each one. Yes, sir.
And shouldn't the Mimosa extension be mentioned in here, or is that not a collector?
It is. I'm sorry, did I fail to? Mimosa Boulevard extension has that specific element in its design and was constructed that way.
I don't see that in item 7 if that's where it was supposed to be.
No, it's in the item summary.
Okay, I mean, my main point was just that you were trying to be specific instead of making an overall ordinance that can be applied anywhere. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Becky Wynn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Orlins. Is there any questions or comments from the audience? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
The next item, approval of an ordinance updating Article 22.6, speed limits, appendix of the Roswell Code of Ordinances.
Thank you, Ms. Wynn. This is the first reading. We, every 3 years, review all of our roads and identify if there are any changes needed. We then submit this list for radar enforcement of our speed limits. We submit this list to GDOT, who will line by line agree or disagree with our recommended changes. We've gone through that process. We've had virtually everything that we asked for brought back before the council. We reviewed this in the July committee, and we now seek your approval to approve the list of speed limits in the city for enforcement, and subsequent to this approval process, it will go back to GDOT for their final approval, and then we will be able to enforce our speed limits.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Need to read the
reading first.
Please read the ordinance.
Ordinance to amend Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell, Georgia, whereas the Official Code of Georgia annotated Title 40, Article 9, Section 40-6-183 of the Uniform Rules of the Road Act authorizes the local authority to alter lawful speed limits. Now, therefore, to accomplish the foregoing, the Mayor and Council of the City of Roswell, pursuant to their authority, do hereby adopt the following ordinance. Chapter 22, Traffic and Motor Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell, Georgia, is amended by deleting therefrom Article 22.6 and substituting in lieu thereof a new Article 22.6 to read as set forth in the appendix attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference.
Mr. DiPolito, did you have a question?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Asenbrack had asked during the committee meeting for staff to look into the school zones. Has that been done, or is that?
We're still in the process. I don't have any update for you.
Okay, thank you. But that is in the process.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
motion to approve the first reading.
Motion for approval by Councilmember Becky Wynn. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
Okay, Mr. Asenbrack, we're on a roll here. Okay. Approval to authorize the mayor and or city administrator to sign a contract with Virtual Earth for the construction of the Steeplechase Multi-Use Trail project in the amount of $93,800. Mr. Asenbrack.
Thank you. This is a tale of a company that is in financial problems and could not be bonded. You will recall that Ace Grading, which is the company that did our Mimosa extension, could not fulfill its fiduciary obligations to the city of Roswell. We consulted with our procurement Division and with our legal counsel and determined that the best course of action for the City of Roswell was to go to the next low bidder on our list, and that was Vertical Earth. And we have contacted them, and they have agreed to honor their bid. And with your permission and approval, we will award the Fouts Steeplechase Trail to Vertical Earth.
Any questions? Councilmember Becky Wynn.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I guess really kudos to Steve Asenbrack, because we had $340,000 budgeted for this item, and he pulled it for, going to get it completed for $93,000. So you saved us about $250,000, so I appreciate that.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Wynn to approve. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Orleans. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. I want to thank the council and staff for putting this together. I've been behind this project for about 4 years now. It's taken a long time to get to this process, but the truth is, I'm glad it took this long, because I think we saved about $200,000 by being patient and waiting for this. So the right-of-way was donated. The engineering, we got done at a reasonable price, and now we got this thing way in under budget. It's going to be a great improvement for the
great
community.
Connectivity.
It'll get folks from to the East
Horseshoe Bend,
Roswell Park
right,
and to the new library
yes,
at a great price, and I hope we can do some more projects like this with this good a price. So I want to thank staff and the council for this project. Councilmember Wynn.
Real quick, do you know when this project will be starting?
As soon as this is approved, we are set up to do a kickoff meeting, and I'll provide you an updated schedule. The contractor will provide us their schedule as soon as we have our kickoff meeting, which will be shortly.
And I'm assuming now, because we're having our sidewalks, also looking at a design on the south side, that this is going to tie into those sidewalks, those little gaps that we're trying to do right now.
That's correct.
Yeah.
In fact, there is an ongoing design for Fouts Road, which is the western terminus of this trail.
So I think we're looking at, Mr. Mayor, true connectivity very shortly.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. And may I go to the next one? I got
Have
one more agenda.
we voted on it? Have we voted on it? Yes. Please call the next item.
Okay, thank you. Approval for the mayor and/or city administrator to apply for the Local Assistance Road Program, known as LARP, from the Georgia Department of Transportation. Mr. Asenbrack.
Thank you, Ms. Wynn. As you know, we rate our roads every year, and LARP is a program available to local governments to help them with their paving processes. What we do is we go through our collector roads and we rate them, and I've provided that summary for you, and there's a graphic here that I've put up above. We are the three lowest rated roads in our city were Nesbitt Ferry, Mountain Park, and Warsaw. Nesbitt Ferry rating a 27, Mountain Park rating a 38, and Warsaw rating a 42. So it's our recommendation to recommend Nesbitt Ferry for repaving under the state assistance, this LARP assistance program. It is also our intention to, this year, one of the things that I learned as a consultant was that some of the municipalities asked for the funding in lieu of the actual work, and that is the track that we're going to take this year, which we're going to ask them not only to approve. What they do is they'll come out and they'll verify that this road is indeed in need of repair. They will do the estimate quantities. They will usually add it to their state contract. In this case, we'd like them to go ahead and just send us the money, and we can add it to our contract so that we have better control over the schedule and to the quality of the process.
I have a question on this one.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
And I support the way we've done all this, but given that we're going to be not only benefiting the citizens of Roswell, but the people fronting on this and Johns Creek are taking a major benefit from this. Have we talked to Johns Creek about reciprocity on some of our roads?
We have not. This road lies entirely within the jurisdiction of the city of Roswell, but I would be happy to entertain a joint venture with Johns Creek moving forward on these types of projects, Mayor.
And I just want to get the council's thoughts on this. I don't want to change the way we give priority to roads, but on the other hand, when we've got a road which is shared like this, I think we need to look at sharing the cost of paving, and I just want to get council's thoughts on this.
I'm trying to figure out what you mean about sharing the road. I mean, this has been like Old Alabama Connector that we share with Alpharetta. It'd be like Mansell that we share with Alpharetta. So
Well, we
not
share.
exactly-
We're
Old Alabama that we share with Johns Creek and Alpharetta. So I'm not for sure exactly where you're going with this one.
well. This road is serving. I would say it's serving equally citizens of Roswell and citizens of Johns Creek if we looked at who it's benefiting, and we're paying for the whole thing. And I'd like to think that Johns Creek would reciprocate without a discussion, but I know that it's always good to have these discussions to have understandings with our sister cities about. Again, this road, it may be within our jurisdiction from a police standpoint, but from a standpoint of who it's benefiting, it's equally benefiting both cities, and I think to some extent the cost should be shared by both cities.
Well, of course, I just used it today to go to Target. It's my best cut through. I have no problems if we want to just, if you want Transportation Department just to kind of feel it out and see what we can do, I have no problems with that. But I would not like to see Nesbitt Ferry put off of this list just because Johns Creek might not want to share in the cost of paving the road, especially since it's rated a 27 out of 100. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually have a question for Mr. Asenbrack. What is the city's match for this LARP grant?
It's 100%.
So
There is no
for the city.
out of pocket for the city.
Well, in looking at sharing these costs, we are allocating resources, which are the city controls this resource, and I would like to think that if there's a road which they share with us, they'll be doing that soon. But the best time to talk about reciprocity is on the front end rather than the back end, and so I'm just trying to get y'all's thoughts on this. Again, the state is paying for this, but we're allocating resources to this road, which are benefiting Roswell citizens and Johns Creek citizens. And I know that if we're going to try to talk to the other city about let's look at reciprocity from an equity standpoint, they're benefiting just as much from this road as from us, and we're paying for the whole thing to the extent that we're using our LARP grant, which could be spent elsewhere. And I'm not suggesting we take this off the list of projects to do, but I think that now when we're doing it, we need to look at how it's funded. Mrs. Henry, Councilmember Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a state aid program, and it is customary that we maintain things within our city limits, as does Alpharetta or Milton or Johns Creek. And I know that we benefit many times from using their roads as well. So to me, it's number one, it's a state aid program. So it's perfect for roads like this that we share. And number two, it seems a little cleaner to me that we maintain things within our city limits as do our neighboring cities.
Mayor, point's well taken. I think in the future what we can do is work at maybe coordinating at a staff level to find out what other projects they're working on and see if we can generate some synergy between on the boundaries. It's a good point. We'll look for that.
Appreciate the thoughts. Have we gotten a motion on this yet?
I just have one other question, if I could, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry about bringing this up. I just noticed this. It said that the application deadline was August 1st. I'm assuming this is just, you've already submitted the application.
That's correct, but we can. It was basically a placeholder. So they needed a road from the city of Roswell, and we did it electronically. So it's easily changed if this council wishes to move it to a different road.
No, I just want to make sure that
we met our obligation.
Fantastic. Then I move to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Wynn. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember Henry. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
Just for clarification, we got their request just a couple weeks ago, and this is as fast as we can put this together. So, thank you very much.
We have a report from our city attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Council, I'm requesting approve a resolution to call and conduct a special election for council member post number 3 in conjunction with the 2009 general election. As you've stated already tonight, David Tollison, council member who held post 3, has resigned his council position. State law and the Roswell Charter require a special election to fill his remaining term, which expires December 31, 2011. A special election may be held as provided by law in conjunction with the scheduled general election. And we have prepared a resolution that we ask that council pass.
Do we need to read that resolution?
No, sir.
Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution? Motion by Councilman Orleans to approve the resolution for calling for a special election at the same time as the general election. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Becky Wynn. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. We have a recommendation for closure to discuss matters of personnel and litigation. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilmember DiPolito for approval. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Laurie Henry. All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. We have a work session immediately following this meeting in room 220.
Yes, transportation
And
update.
it's a quarterly transportation update to talk about the status of transportation projects and future transportation needs and a master transportation plan. Room 2220 across the rotunda. Immediately following the adjournment of this meeting. We're adjourned.
How was your trip?
Great.
Niece get